Hey guys, I'm back and I'm here to tell you all about the suggestions list. Mystery, crime, and thriller. So this list is, it's interesting to say the least. I don't think there's much on here that I'm really interested in reading, frankly speaking. But we're going to see. We're going to try to make this work. So the first book on the list is called Black Camp 21 by Bill Jones. Now, I've never heard of this one before, but it says, now, see, this isn't even a mystery. This on the Goodreads list, it says it's historical fiction and it's war. Let me see. It doesn't say anything about it being a mystery. So, I don't know. Anyway. It says, all over Britain, POW camps are filling up with defeated German soldiers. Every day, thousands more pour in on ships from France. But only the most dangerous are sent to Camp 21. Black, it says in quotes, prisoners. SS diehards who've sworn death before surrender. Nothing will stop their war unless it's a bullet. As one fanatic plots a mass breakout and glorious march on London, Max Hartman dreams of the oath he pledged to the teenage bride he scarcely knows and the child he's never met. Where do his loyalties lie? To Hitler or to the life he left behind in the bombed ruins of his homeland? This is not a mystery. This is historical fiction. People don't even know what they're suggesting. So this is going to be a no ma'am for me next year. Nope. Don't want to read it. Next book on the list is The Survivors by Jane Harper. Okay, this one says, Kieran Elliott's life changed forever on the day a reckless mistake led to devastating consequences. The guilt that still haunts him resurfaces during a visit with his young family to the small coastal community he once called home. Kieran's parents are struggling in a town where fortunes are forged by the sea. Between them all is his absent brother Finn. When a body is discovered on the beach, long-held secrets threaten to emerge, a sunken wreck, a missing girl, and questions that have never washed away. Okay, that's a mystery, okay? Do I want to read that one? No, not really. It doesn't sound that interesting to me, personally. So the next book on the list is called The Brutal Telling of Louise Penny. This person claims that it doesn't matter that this is book 5 in the Chief Inspector Armand Gamache series. She says it doesn't matter that it's book 5 and we haven't read book 1. So it says, with those words, the peace of Three Pines is shattered. As families prepare to head back to the city and children say goodbye to summer, a stranger is found murdered in the village bistro and antique store. Once again, Chief Inspector Gamache and his team are called in to strip back layers of lies, exposing both treasures and rancid secrets buried in the wilderness. I mean, it could be interesting. I've heard nothing but good things about Louise Penny, murder stories, so I'm not going to be mad at it. Why not? Okay, the next book on the list is called Pretty Things by Janelle Brown. I've never heard this before. It came out in 2020, apparently. It says, two wildly different women, one a grifter, the other an heiress, are brought together by the scam of a lifetime in a page-turner from the New York Times best-selling author of Watch Me Disappear. Nina once bought into the idea that her fancy liberal arts degree would lead to a fulfilling career. When that dream crashed, she turned to stealing from rich kids in LA alongside her wildly Irish boyfriend, Lachlan. Nina learned from the best. Her mother was the original con artist, hustling to give her daughter a decent childhood despite their wayward life. But when her mom gets sick, Nina puts everything on the line to help her, even if it means running her most audacious, dangerous scam yet. This could be kind of good. I've never heard of it before, but I guess if it made it, I guess I wouldn't be mad at it. Okay, the next book on the list is A Legacy of Spies by John le Carré. Okay, I've not read one John le Carré novel in my life, and I feel like it's one that I should try to read at least one of his novels. So this is number 9 in the George Smiley series from John le Carré. I'm assuming it doesn't matter, but I'm not sure about that. Anyway, it says, Paul Guillaume, staunch colleague and disciple of George Smiley of the British Secret Service, otherwise known as the Circus, is living out his old age on the family farmstead on the south coast of Brittany when a letter from his old service summons him to London. The reason? His Cold War past has come back to claim him. Intelligence operations that were once the toast of secret London and involved such characters as Alec Lemus, Jim Prideaux, George Smiley, and Peter Guillaume himself are to be scrutinized by a generation with no memory of the Cold War and no patience with its justifications. Okay, I have a feeling this one, we need to read some of the ones before. Here we go. I don't think that's going to be a good idea, but you know, anyway. The next book on the list is called The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Now, I've heard of The Silent Patient. I've heard of The Silent Wife. There's a bunch of The Silent this, The Silent that. I'm not sure about this one, but it says, Alicia Berenson's life is seemingly perfect. A famous painter married to an in-demand fashion photographer, she lives in a grand house with big windows overlooking a park in one of London's most desirable areas. One evening, her husband, Gabriel, returns home late from a fashion shoot, and Alicia shoots him 5 times in the face and then never speaks another word. Okay. Why not? I'm curious. I mean, this cover though, so, yeah, why not? I ain't mad at it. Okay, the next book on the list is called The Murder Room by P.D. James. Now, I have never read a P.D. James, and this one is number 12 in the Adam Dalgleish series. I think it's pronounced. What are we doing on number 12? We hadn't even read book 1. I don't know. I guess they say it doesn't matter. It says, Commander Adam Dalgleish is already acquainted with the Dupain, a museum dedicated to the interwar years, with the room celebrating the most notorious murders of that time, when he is called to investigate the killing of one of the family trustees. He soon discovers that the victim was seeking to close the museum against the wishes of the fellow trustees and Dupain's devoted staff. Everyone, it seems, has something to gain from the crime. When it becomes clear that the murderer has been inspired by the real-life crimes from the murder room and is preparing to kill again, Dalgleish knows that to solve this case, he has to get into the mind of a ruthless killer. Okay, why not? I'm not particularly excited about that one. I don't think it sounds that good. Who knows? I could be wrong. Okay, the next one is Unto Us a Son is Given by Donna Leon. Okay, I have read a Donna Leon or two, but just like the very beginning of the series. That's the Commissario Brunetti. It takes place specifically in Venice. It's pretty good usually. So this is number 28. I guess it doesn't really matter. It says, your situation is always ambiguous, isn't it, Guido? His father-in-law, Count Orazio Faglie, observes of Donna Leon's soulful detective Guido Brunetti. At the beginning of her superb 28th Brunetti novel, Unto Us a Son is Given. The world we live in makes that necessary. Brunetti persistently replies. Count Faller was urging his Venetian son-in-law to investigate and preferably intervene in the seemingly innocent plan of the Count's best friend, the elderly Gonzalo Rodriguez de Tejada, to adopt a much younger man as his son. Under Italian inheritance laws, this man would then be heir to Gonzalo's entire fortune, a prospect Gonzalo's friends find appalling. For his part, Brunetti wonders why the old man, a close family friend, can't be allowed his pleasure in peace. And yet, what seems innocent on the Venetian surface can cause tsunamis beneath. Gonzalo unexpectedly and literally drops dead on the street, and one of his friends, just arrived in Venice for the memorial service, is strangled in her room. Having earlier sent Gonzalo on email saying, "We are the only ones who know you cannot do this," referring to the adoption. Now, with an urgent case to solve, Brunetti reluctantly untangles the long-hidden mystery in Gonzalo's life that ultimately led to murder, a resolution that brings him way more pain than satisfaction. So this could be really good. I usually, like I said, I read 2 of them and I thought they were very good. So I wouldn't be mad at this one if it made it through. Okay, the next one is My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier, and I suggested this one. I just read it this month and I really, really enjoyed it. It says, orphaned at an early age, Philip Ashley is raised by his benevolent older cousin Ambrose. Resolutely single, Ambrose delights in Philip as his heir, a man who will love his grand home as much as he does himself. But the cozy world the two construct is shattered when Ambrose sets off on a trip to Florence. There he falls in love and marries, and there he dies suddenly. Jealous of his marriage, racked by suspicion at the hints of Ambrose's letters, and grief-stricken by his death, Philip prepares to meet his cousin's widow with hatred in his heart. Despite himself, Philip is drawn to this beautiful, sophisticated, mysterious Rachel like a moth to the flame, and yet might she have had a hand in Ambrose's death. This book is good. That's all I gotta say. Now, I don't know if people are gonna pick it because they don't be picking books like I pick. So we're gonna see. Okay, the next book on the list is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Now, I read this book eons ago. Yeah, it's really good and everything, but it's kind of like, okay, it's kind of like old classic mystery. Do I really want to read it again? Not really. Not really. But anyway, if I have to, I have to. Okay, so this one, it says, first there were 10, a curious assortment of strangers, summoned as weekend guests to a little private island off the coast of Devon. Their host, an eccentric millionaire, unknown to all of them, is nowhere to be found. All that the guests have in common is a wicked past they're unwilling to reveal, and a secret that will seal their fate, for each has been marked for murder. A famous nursery rhyme is framed and hung in every room of the mansion. It's the 10 little boys went out to dine. One choked his little self, and then there were 9, and etc., etc. So, yeah. The next one on the list is called A Spy's Life by Henry Porter. I don't know this one. Here we go, another series. It's the Robert Harlan series. It's the first one in the book, so that's something that's all right. It says, Robert Cope Harlan ended his career as a British spy in an Austrian hospital after being tortured and beaten by Czech security agents in the last days of the communist regime. He was young enough then to find a new life with Red Cross and then with the UN. 12 years later, his UN plane crashes in mysterious circumstances at LaGuardia Airport, New York, and Harlan is the only survivor. Was it sabotage? And if so, was Harlan the target? Okay, now I'm not really interested in that. I mean, I don't know. You tell me, but it doesn't, I don't care. The next book on the list is called The Last House on the Street by Diane Chamberlain. So this one is a bestseller, apparently. I don't know the author Diane Chamberlain, so, okay. When Kyla Carter's husband dies in an accident while building their dream house, she knows she has to stay strong for their 4-year-old daughter. But the trophy home in Shadow Ridge Estates, a new development in sleepy Round Hill, North Carolina, will always hold tragic memories. But when she is confronted by an odd older woman telling her not to move in, she almost agrees. It's clear this woman has some kind of connection to the area and a connection to Kyla herself. Or Kayla. Kayla's elderly new neighbor, Ellie Hockley, is more welcoming, but it's clear she too has secrets that sketch back almost 50 years. Is Ellie on a quest to right the wrongs of the past? And does the house at the end of the street hold the key? Told in dual time periods, The Last House on the Street is a novel of shocking prejudice and violence, forbidden love, the search for justice, and the tangled vines of two families. Okay, maybe. I don't know. Why not? I guess it could be good. I don't know. The last book on the list is called The Dry, and it's by Jane Harper. So this one says, in the grip of the worst drought in a century, the farming community of Kiwara is facing life and death choices daily when 3 members of a local family are found brutally slain. Federal police investigator Aaron Falk reluctantly returns to his hometown for the funeral of his childhood friend, loath to face the townsfolk who turned their backs on him 20 years earlier. But as questions mount, Falk is forced to probe deeper into the deaths of the Hadler family. Because Falk and Luke Hadler shared a secret Falk thought was long buried. A secret Luke's death now threatens to bring to the surface in this small Australian town as old wounds bleed into new ones. Now that sounds like it could be kind of interesting. I'm not sure why I think that's interesting, but I don't know, there's something in it that it could be. If I had to read it, I wouldn't be mad at it. So yes, that was the last book of that list. I'm not really a fan of this mystery crime thriller list. It just seems really mediocre to me. I don't know. We will see. But the last list that I have is biography, autobiography, memoir list. And let's just hope that that sounds better than this mystery crime list, which sounds terrible to me. But anyway, let me know what you think below, which ones you think I should vote for, because frankly speaking, I really don't know. At this point, I may have to sacrifice My Cousin Rachel for something else on the list, because there are quite a few books that I have a feeling I can see people voting for that I would never vote for. So I need your help. Come on, give me 2 suggestions, but not My Cousin Rachel, because that's the one that I suggested. Thanks for sticking with me and watching these videos. I'll be back real soon with the very last one as well. Bye-bye.